Hey Nerfherder, I'm Addy Thomas.
Hey, I'm Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View, our sometimes Star Wars podcast. And today we are going to be talking a little bit of Star Wars, but before that we're going to be talking about some Marvel TV shows that are partnered up with Hulu. We're going to get some Star Wars action in Star Wars Resistance, the latest episode, The Trooper. So we're going to talk about all of that on today's episode. But before we get to any of that, I do want to remind you that you can check out a couple new podcasts that are part of the Certain Point of View family. Along with some of the other podcasts there, we've got Men of Steel with our very own Case Aiken, we've got J. Mike Folson, and we've got Jeff Moonen, all of them talking Star Wars. We're probably going to see some guests from time to time. We're going to see them talk about Superman analogs and characters inspired by Superman. So that's a brand new podcast you can check out from them. We've also got a new podcast that I'm hosting as well. We've got Real Movie News and Reviews. I'm joined by our buddy Hans Martin Jr., a friend of the podcast. He's been reviewing movies for about 6 years, and we're going to have a little bit of, sort of nerdy movie news, and then, of course, we're going to be reviewing about as many movies as we can watch. Hans will be seen probably a lot more than I will, but we'll get a chance to talk about plenty of movies for you guys, and all of that, again, is available on our website, certainpov.com, so be sure to check out all of that. So let's go ahead and dive into our topics for today. Let's kick it off with this Marvel TV announcement that seemed to really come out of left field, because, Ben, you sent an image to us on Discord with a description of 5 TV shows. At first, I wasn't sure if, are these new comic lines? Like, this makes sense if they're comic lines. But it also says these are produced by Jeff Loeb, who's the head of Marvel Television. And I'm like, okay, clearly these are Marvel TV shows. What's going on with these?
Right, yeah. Marvel Hulu announcing, 5 new shows, and each one seems more improbable than the last.
Yes. That is an understatement.
As I was, I came across it just scrolling through Twitter at lunch, and I was just like, oh, hey, I got a little bit of time on my hands. Let me kill it with, let me just scroll through Twitter, see if there's anything that pops. What's this? Marvel MODOK? What's this? It centers around an egomaniacal supervillain with a really big head and a really little body who struggles to maintain control of his evil organization and his demanding family. And here's the shocking part of it. Jordan Bloom is going to be writing with it. Patton Oswalt will also executive produce along with Jeff Loeb. This is such a strange idea. And it was like, when I saw this, I was like, is this just fans saying, oh, this is what I wish would happen? I wish Patton Oswalt would produce a Marvel MODOK series.
Yeah.
Because it really is it is like fan casting almost a little bit. It's such a bizarre concept with such a great comedic mind. And that one's going to be hilarious. I'm super excited to see MODOK's family. Here's my question, Addy. Yeah. Does MODOK have a MODOK family where they all have the giant heads and the little tiny bodies, or does he have a normally anatomically average looking family?
It's funny, is the last time we recorded this, I said MODOK family. I really started thinking about just a normal housewife with him. Yeah.
It's even to me it's even funnier if everybody around him is a normie.
Well, I'd love to see the weird hybrid kids that they have.
Yes.
Maybe one has a giant body and a small head, and the other kid has a giant head and small body. One really takes after their mother a little bit more, Oh,
I like the idea of doing it straight up Addams Family style, where the quote unquote normal looking kid is the black sheep of the family.
That's right. I like that. I like that a lot too.
That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Next show, Marvel's Hit Monkey tells the tale of a wronged Japanese snow monkey mentored by the ghost of an American assassin as he cuts a wide swath through the Tokyo underworld in this darkly cinematic and brutally funny revenge saga. That sounds amazing. That sounds like so much fun.
I'm 100% in. Like,
yeah.
I saw this on the list, and I was like, okay, this might be legit.
I believe Hitmonkey is a legit character. I can't say I've ever read anything with Hitmonkey in it.
No, I haven't either. But it seems like I could see that as a TV show.
Yeah, this works.
Not that I can't see MODOK, but...
Well, MODOK is so absurdist.
Yeah.
Like, this is just, okay, it's an assassination monkey in Tokyo. Yeah. Okay.
That works. Like, that totally seems like that seems like an easy pitch if you were to tell someone who's never read comics. Whereas, like, the MODOK pitch seems a little bit more complicated.
It's a little more heady. Yeah. All right. Next show that I maybe won't like, Marvel's Tigra and Dazzler show is a story about two woke superheroes and best friends, Tigra and Dazzler, as they fight for recognition among the powered people who make up the 8 million stories in Los Angeles. Chelsea Handler is serving as executive producer on this one, along with Jeff Loeb.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's the one where I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled off Jessica Jones, so
yeah, and they did it pretty well. We'll see what they have for that one. When you start throwing in words like woke and all that stuff, I'm like, I'm just not that interested. It might be great though. We'll see. Marvel's Howard the Duck is trapped in a world he never made, but America's favorite fighting fowl hopes to return home with the help of an unstoppable gal pal Beverly before the evil Dr. Bong can turn him into the crispiest dish on the menu. Writers are Kevin Smith and Dave Willis will also executive produce along with Jeff Loeb.
Well, Dr. Bong makes a lot of sense now.
As soon as you say Dr. Bong, you're like, and Kevin Smith can't be too far behind.
Right.
And sure enough, there he was. Yeah, this one sounds hilarious. And I love me some Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
Love the true originator of the MCU.
And you add, you add Kevin Smith to the mix. Like, I'm in.
Yeah, and Weed Humor, this is going to be good stuff. Yeah. And then you're going to have all 4 of these shows, and you can't have a Marvel universe without a Marvel tie-in. This one's called Marvel's The Offenders, which is a story which nobody asked them to, and we're better off if they didn't. But MODOK, Dazzler, Tigra, Hitmonkey, and Howard the Duck are all forced to team up in order to save the world and certain parts of the universe.
So this is the one where I was really like, okay, I have my doubts that this is a real thing. As with the way it was written, the way it was phrased, and also just coming this soon off of the Marvel Netflix cancellation.
Yeah,
it really felt like it hurt. It even hurt a little bit to read that. To be like,
you took it so personally.
I know, right? I love those shows. I love those characters. So it's funny because like I've even started imagining in my head like, okay, like what would I actually started really thinking about like, okay, how would you do Daredevil in like an Into the Spider-Verse style cartoon, And I have some interesting thoughts about that. Like there might be like. I don't know if I really want to talk about it only because like that could be an interesting pitch to throw out there, but
all right, we'll save it and we'll mock it up and we'll send it out. We'll see what kind of traction we get. If like we don't get any bites in a certain amount of time, then we'll let everybody know what your idea was.
Yeah, exactly.
and try to get ground that way.
Right. But yeah, like The Offenders, like, you know what? Like, I'm down for this. Like, here's the thing. Like, I looked it up, and then I saw it was on Variety and a lot of credible sources, and the part that was missing from this to help with the context is that these are all adult animated shows. I forgot which of these shows. One of the writers is a former South Park writer. So, like, when you started looking at that kind of credibility, I was like, oh, okay, this makes plenty sense. It also makes sense that this is on Hulu. And the other thing that I think gives a lot of context to this is that the recent news is that Deadpool Bob Iger has confirmed that Deadpool will be R-rated, even when with Disney buying out all those properties, which is awesome. So it also it just makes sense that now like Disney is figuring out their strategy for how they're going to handle all these different properties. Clearly, R-rated stuff. I think it's fairly clear. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think R-rated stuff is going to land on Disney Plus. That stuff is going to end up on Hulu potentially. So
yeah. That makes sense. Like that keeps things kind of not on brand, because it's definitely not on brand, but I guess it's like Disney on brand. So yeah.
Well, Disney has that name. Like that is part of it. That's a significant part of its branding.
It is. So. It is.
So cool. So I'm excited to see as we get more news about these shows, and as we start seeing more press and publicity and casting for all of this. So we'll be sure to keep you guys updated on these shows as we find significant information that we find interesting with these shows. Well, and then we've got the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, The Trooper, as the First Order occupation continues. We have more development with what they have in store for the Colossus and our friends aboard the platform. This was another really good episode. I'm really happy now that we're getting a little bit more into the meat of the action. We had Kaz do his spy thing, but I think he was. I actually would venture to say he was a lot better at being a spy in this episode than maybe he has at any other time in the series.
Yeah, he seems to be a very quick learner.
Yeah. Obviously they play up the comedy of him being clumsy and all, but
right.
He still works out. So, what'd you think of this episode?
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was fun watching them kind of run around the platform. My absolute favorite part of it, though, was that they did go back to that poor alien who had his his floor thing, his carpet cleaner, the scrubber stolen from him, and now he's mopping the floors by hand.
I felt so bad for him. I was like, I want to know his name. That's the other thing.
Yeah, he is quickly becoming my favorite. I'm glad they realized that was a joke that they wanted to keep running with, because it's a gift that keeps on giving every episode.
Absolutely.
I thought it was good. I thought it there was little moments with various characters, like Commander Doza's daughter. I can't remember her name.
Tora.
Like her sitting in her room and watching the troopers go by, and just like you could tell, like she wasn't ambivalent to it, but she was also like, this is weird. Like you can kind of like it was an interesting slice of someone's view of the First Order who's not like we know, oh, they're the bad guys. Right. And you also had that with what's her.
Well, then you had Kaz walk by and she.
Oh yeah, the little silly wave thing. Yeah, that was true. But even before then, when she was just watching the troopers go by, like you could tell, like it made her uncomfortable to have them there. And then you also had Tam, the other mechanic, who was like openly like, I think it's a good thing that they're here, and like what do you have to fear? Like we should be glad they're here protecting us. So it's nice to see some of that nuance.
Especially when Yeager brings up the Empire and the precedent for who these guys are.
Right.
And she kind of brushes it off. I thought that was very fascinating. I think it's something that people, like, it's funny, just like in 10 years, how quickly attitudes have changed to different events that have happened.
Right.
So it's funny because you do hear sometimes the complaint, it's like, oh, things have... it seems weird that things have happened this dramatically or have repeated so quickly, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like in our own lifetime, we've seen that kind of generational change.
Yeah,
and not even generational, like mid-generational, if anything. So, I think our memories are shorter than we give them credit for sometimes.
Yeah.
That we don't always learn certain lessons as well.
And I think we underestimate how long certain things are. Like a decade is a long time. 3 decades is a really, really long time. 30 years is a really long time. A lot changes in that period of time. In today's world, and it's because I was just talking about this with Jenny the other night, where I said, it's like, can you imagine, like we were talking about, like, I don't know, like what life was like just 3 or 4 generations ago, how absolutely different it was. Right. But 3 or 4 generations behind that, it was very much the same. Not a lot changed for a very long time, and now it seems like things are changing at such a dramatic pace it's almost impossible to keep up with it. But it's, thinking of life that way and how much things have changed just in my lifetime, or from my mom's lifetime to my lifetime, like how dramatic that has changed. It's not that big of a leap to go, oh yeah, like I can see where there would be another empire or something to fill its shoes,
Right. I was a big fan of this episode. I loved the action with the kids, with the troopers. We also had a little bit more development of what the First Order's plans are as far as using the Colossus as a staging ground. Well, not a staging ground, sorry, a refueling point as they're launching their invasion of the core worlds. So we're starting to realize some strategic importance. We're starting to realize that there are going to be a whole lot more troops, that they've got a big garrison that's going to be sent, and that also that the troops that are currently that are there have been used to kind of verify the identities of people and sort of get rid of anybody who's not a sympathizer with the First Order. Which, fascinating, of course, to see how the First Order works in all of that. And, of course, it does end with a moment where as Kaz has discovered all of this, they threaten to wipe his mind because he seems to be a not well-functioning trooper, of course, which ends up on a fun little chase there.
I thought that was kind of horrifying. Like,
totally.
How that episode ended.
Oh yeah, and then it happens to the other dude.
Yeah, they just wipe his mind.
It's just it shows you just how ruthless. Like, it's dark. Just how ruthless the First Order is. But it's like that was also sort of like what was going to happen to Finn as well,
right,
in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Like that, the reconditioning that Phasma mentioned is like this is the First Order that we've already been presented. So
yeah.
I was excited to see that they're showing a little bit more of who they are and how they're working and how they're operating. They're already brazen enough to take Doza's office from him. To make whatever commands. I also thought an interesting conversation between Commander Pyre and Doza was also, he asked him why did he leave the Empire all those years ago. And, again, like, we're seeing how different people in this galaxy thought of the Empire and thought of the Rebellion and the Republic. And just, in some ways, how detached they are from those big forces. But when people are up close to them, how they're dealing with, like, as far as what they think about the world that's created. And, Doza seems to be the kind of guy who does want a certain degree of autonomy and freedom, which is why he's the head of a platform out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating too, and I thought like we got nice little snippets of character moments in this episode of kind of like where everybody is at with their different feelings about the First Order. And I thought it was good because you got a like we just described it. You got a really nice, broad selection of what it's like to live in this universe, which was refreshing in a lot of ways. And in so many ways, we like our things black and white. Like, oh, that's good, that's bad. We're very quick to make that judgment today. So it was nice to have like some grayness to it of like, no, not everybody feels the same way, and there's some valid reasons for feeling that way too.
Absolutely. So I think that about does it today for our episode of Certain Point of View. Of course, you can let us know what you think about this most recent episode of Star Wars Resistance. Are you excited about the new Marvel Hulu TV adult animated shows that are coming out? I can tell you we are definitely a little bit more excited than I thought I'd be about this announcement.
Yeah, if you would have said Marvel and Hulu again, I'm like, I already saw the first season of Runaways. I'm not that thrilled. Now I'm like, I'm kind of into Marvel Hulu.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, you got to let us know what you think about all of that. We will be back on our project of catching up on Star Wars comics with our next episode. So, of course, be sure to join us then. Don't forget that you can join the conversation with us now on Discord. We are hanging out on Discord all the time, chatting up a storm. You can join us there on all the podcasts that are part of Certain Point of View, We each have channels, and we cross over to everybody else's channel. We even have it for our online streaming that Ben does, and that the group of us do as part of a guild in World of Warcraft, which you're also welcome to join us with in chat or in-game as well. All of that is, again, available on our website, certainpov.com. Be sure to check that out. And please be sure to rate and review us, especially on iTunes. That's the best way for more people to discover us and for us to grow this podcast. Again, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my nerf herder.